Hey friends, welcome to Canadian Cutting Edge University. This is just going to be a short video, at least I plan it to be short, about why it's not a good idea to try to match the grind angle of a knife. When you buy one, you want to sharpen it because it'll get dull in short order. What do? Well, you have been told so many times on so many other videos that you should match the grind angle because the factory knows what they're doing. At least that's the basic idea behind it. I'm here to tell you, at least with budget knives, that is, any knife under at least 100 American dollars, that's a fool's errand to try to match the grind angle. And I want to show you why. So here I have two knives. It really doesn't matter what knives these are because I found the same thing with 99% of the knives that I review. I've got a spreadsheet that's public, open for anybody to look at, where I record, I've been recording the grind angle. And basically what I've been doing is putting the knives in my sharpening system. I got a video that explains this in more detail. And I take a black Sharpie marker and I cover the entire sharpening grind along the edge there. And then I change the angle of the sharpening system until a clean swipe takes off all of the ink from the very cutting edge to the heel of the sharpening grind right there. I can't do too close to the camera because there we go. So that whole section there, that's a different color here than the stonewash. Once that whole thing's wiped clean, I know that's the angle. And then I take a digital angle finder and I measure what that angle is. The thing is, there are almost no knives that have, within a degree, the same angle all the way along. It just doesn't happen, except for on the odd, very odd occasion. So here I've got two knives, the J1912, the CGRB feldspar, and the small G feldspar, the 1912S. I'm working on the review of these, and I decided it's time to do this thing. Now, when you looked at this one, you can see that shiny edge, that grind mark, and notice it looks a little different right there at the heel. That's very common. It's even more appreciable on this knife. Once it focuses there, check that out. How it looks here, the light should be hitting it the same way all the way along. I turn the knife up, and then I can get it to match up here. But what I'm doing is, it's like this, and I have to turn the knife. I have to pivot it to get that angle to be the same. You can see it along here. This is not unusual. This is common, very common. The thing is, if you try to match the angle, which angle are you going to match? Are you going to match the angle right here? Or are you going to match the angle right here? Or are you going to match the angle right here? Let me show you some pictures. Actually, I'll just do it of this one. I got some still pictures, and I've got the angles drawn on there, what it is at certain points along the line. See, it is a wide variety. And now, many of the knives I review are even worse. It's hard to get past this. I've got one knife that was over $300, 300 American dollars retail, and it had the same issue, more than a degree change along the length of the knife. So what does this mean for sharpening? It's really bad news for people that are whetstone sharpeners. Because whetstone sharpeners, as they get used to sharpening knives, very often they go by feel. Imagine that this pad here is the sharpening stone. They know how to put the knife down on the stone to match the angle, and they can feel where it's at the right angle. Thing is, if you do that right at the apex of the belly, you have one angle, but it'll be a different angle, and it'll be a different angle, right? So what I advise to absolutely everybody is buy a budget guided sharpening system, one where you put this in a clamp. And so when you get a new knife, make the angle that you want. And from then on, sharpen whetstones. If you love whetstone sharpening, sharpen on a whetstone from then on. But if you've got various angles that you're working with, it's going to be very frustrating, especially if you're a novice sharpener and you want to be doing whetstone sharpening for whatever reason. And just, I don't see anything wrong at all with whetstone sharpening. It's a craft, it's a skill that's very, very desirable. I just don't do it because, my hands just can't handle it. So, the best thing you need to do is assume that the knife that you just bought does not have a consistent angle along the length of the blade, because it doesn't. So what are you going to do about it? Are you going to stop buying knives? Well, I guess, but that's not what any of us want to do. What we're going to have to do is, when we get a knife, you're going to have to assume that you need to do work on it. If you buy mostly high-end knives, if you buy custom knives, it still is the same thing. Because what I see on channels of knife makers, they are sharpening on a belt. It's probably a 3-inch wide belt that's coming down, but they're holding it like this, the same way that these things are sharpened in a factory. Sometimes it's on a wheel, but often it's on a belt. And they hold the knife however they hold it, and they guide it across. And the thing is, we all do this a little bit. We've got one hand that's stronger than another. That's why when we sharpen this side, we turn it around, and now the weak hand is over here, or the strong one just changed. And now the other side's got a different angle. I found on almost every knife, one side's got a different angle than the other side has. Do you want to perpetuate that when you sharpen it? I don't think so. So this is just a brief little video, because I feel like saying this on every single review that I do, but that eats up so much time in the video that I don't want to do it in every video. Hopefully, a lot of people will see this and realize that, the edges are pretty poorly sharpened at factories. It's just the way it is. Anybody who assumes that just because you have a sharp edge, that it means you have a good edge, you're mistaken, because those two things are mutually exclusive. You can make a knife very, very sharp and still do a terrible job sharpening that knife. In my opinion, a well-done sharpening job is when you've got the same angle along the entire length of the blade, unless you want it otherwise. Most people want the same angle all the way along. The thing is, it's going to be left to you to do that. And that's all I wanted to share with you guys. Thank you for watching this little video. Thank you for liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. And remember, friends, always cut towards your chum, not your thumb. Bye for now.